Welcome to Inspiring Possible. I'm Christy Pennison, former stuck person turned therapist and dream consultant. Are you feeling stuck, overwhelmed, uncertain, or just need a little inspiration? Then I want to help you gain the clarity, confidence, and courage to create possibilities and live a life you love. Because folks, life's too short to be miserable. Hey, my possible people. Welcome back to another episode. I'm just curious, how are things going in your world? If you would, take a chance or take an opportunity to find me either on social media or find a way to send me an email, carrier pigeon. We are at a really cool point in this podcast where I am really doing something that I'm about to ask you to do today that I think is super, super important. And I would love your feedback. And so if you've never reached out to me, you can find me on Instagram, Christy Pennison, on Facebook, Christy Pennison, or you can find us on Instagram at Inspiring Possible. Send me a direct message, if you don't mind, on really what is on your mind these days. What are things that you feel that you have really accomplished maybe in the past 6 months, year, some risk you've taken, or feel free to share with me some stuck places that you are like, Christy, this is where I find myself in. And if you could give some insight on this, I would love to hear it. And so think of it kind of like, what was that column back in the day when y'all remember when you used to read the newspaper? For y'all people that existed in the time when people read the newspaper, you would read this column where you could write in and ask questions. And seriously, I remember I would get the newspaper and actually read like what questions people were asking. And then there was like this person that responded. It was like Ask Sue or something like that. And every newspaper had somebody different. But y'all know those columns where people would write in anonymously sometimes. Sometimes they'd write in and claim who they were. They would ask questions and then the person would respond. Well, the reason why I want your feedback to let me know what questions you have, what about the podcast have you really enjoyed? What do you want to hear more of? Is because I am taking a moment in this next month to really seek some clarity, not only for myself, but for you as listeners to figure it out. What is it that we really want to focus on going forward? And this podcast is going to stay true to its original intention, was to help people in stuck places and help inspire them to create possibilities for their life, to gain the confidence, clarity, and courage. It takes courage, people, to live a life that you really feel aligned with and you feel good about. And disclaimer, y'all all know, because if you've listened this far, that this does not happen overnight. It takes a lot of intention. It takes a lot of showing up and doing uncomfortable things. It takes a lot of clarity to figure out what it is you actually want and then be brave enough to go for it. And we all have a hard time doing this, but it's crazy. I was reminded of this other day when I moved back to my hometown. I had did the second version of this goal group that I started. And one of the girls just reminded me, Christy, you know what? I found that piece of paper that I'd wrote down when you asked us to gain clarity on our life, to think about what were the things that we really wanted for our life. And I did that group maybe about in 2020. It was like right in the heart of the pandemic. And she said, what was crazy is the stuff that I wrote down on there was actually stuff that came to fruition. It came to real life a lot sooner than the 5-year window that I thought. And she said, I wrote it down. I haven't looked at it since, but I pulled it back out. And it's just amazing to me to see how I have been able to go towards those intentions and create these possibilities for my life. So guys, y'all have heard some of the guests that we've had, and this is not some woo-woo stuff. This is like reality about just living intentionally. And what I found is so exciting about life is that when we try to live with more intention, it does not mean that things get easier. I really wish that I could tell you the secret weapon to things getting easier. It doesn't mean that life is not going to be without its challenge or obstacles, but it does mean that life can be a little bit better or a little bit different than it was before. And this is an incredible journey. I have met people from all walks of life, and I can tell you that life is the most incredible journey any of us are ever going to be on. It does have some hard, stuck places. And I can think of some people throughout the years that I've heard of that have really rough beginnings, or they may be in adulthood, have really rough things that they're having to go through, really unexpected losses, tragedy. I mean, you name it, life can happen. Lifes, as one of the therapists that work with me said once, lifes. And I really love that because life does life, but we can, with a little bit of intention and some clarity, life in a way that we at least feel good about the trajectory. And there are so many things that are outside of our control. There just really is. Like when you think about what's in the realm of our control versus what is out of the realm of our control, there's a lot more stuff that's out of our control, believe it or not. Disclaimer again for y'all people who really like to feel like I can predict things, I can control things, and I'm in recovery about this too, okay? That there is a lot of things that we just don't have control of. I mean, we can wake up tomorrow and the life that we had planned, we expect to be here, and this is hopefully not too crazy or drastic or morbid, but we could not be here tomorrow. And so we only get this opportunity. And so how can we live it with more intentionality and more clarity? And so on the show, we're working on taking our own clarity break, which is why, you might have seen one week where there was a missed episode and then we pick back up the next week because we're really in this season of intentionality and seeking of where to go next. But we really need some feedback from y'all. One of the things that's kind of hard about this podcast is I do see some of y'all in real life sometimes, and y'all give me feedback, and I'm like, oh, thank you for listening. But then sometimes I don't get any feedback. And so this podcast was created out of a heart for you. So I'd love, love, love it if I could hear from you. Reach out, DM me, let me know what you think, what's on your mind, what's on your heart, who you'd love to hear from. I'd love, love, love to get your feedback. And so I want to leave you with something today, though, because this is not about just call for feedback, help from Christy. Something I've been wrestling with right now that I think we all have an opportunity to do, but it is hard to do because we don't always take the time to do it, is to take what I would call clarity breaks in our life. And these are intentional carved out moments where we say, you know what, I'm going to take a morning. I'm going to take an afternoon. I'm going to take a Saturday, wherever it can fall in your life. For some of you people, y'all might be out. If you're in the teacher world or you're in a school classroom, you may have some downtime right now this summer, or it could be crazy. I don't know. But taking a clarity break is an intentional time that you set aside and you try to remove distractions to allow yourself to focus on how am I feeling in life right now. It allows you a time to check in and gain clarity on how you feel in the moment, but also paint a picture of where you want to go in the next few weeks, in the next few months, in the next few years. And a lot of times we don't do this because we say, I can tell you my excuses. It's too busy. I'm too busy. I have all these things to do. Christy, if you knew my schedule, you would see there is no time. But I also know that myself can binge watch a lot of hours of Netflix. So and I enjoy it, and I'm shameless about it. You know what? I love my Netflix. But sometimes I need to create some space when I have energy and block it off like it is the most important thing there is to have some moments of reflection. If you have a faith-based orientation, have some moments of prayer. Have some moments of just really listening to yourself, and then listening to also, if you believe in higher power, what the higher power is directing you, calling you, and guiding you towards. Because we can get so busy chasing after the wrong thing. And there's actually a Russian proverb that says, by chasing two rabbits, you will catch neither. Okay. And why clarity is so important is that sometimes we can be chasing a bunch of different things. This could be our job, our obligations, things we feel like we're supposed to do. I'm putting in air quotes for those of you who can't see me, distractions, family commitments. And in the midst of chasing everything, you actually catch nothing. Does this sound familiar? Does this sound like something you've maybe experienced? I mean, I can remember a time in my life when I felt this way. I was so stressed out and I feel like I can never catch up and reach the thing I was striving for. Because as soon as I would get one thing done, something else would come up. And I call this the hamster wheel of life. Y'all ever watch them little hamsters? They just go round and round and round they go. And at some point they get off, but not always. And that's how life can feel. It feels like you get on and keep on running, only to realize you can't reach a destination or achieve a result or meet a goal. Then what happens is at some point, or maybe never, you realize that you are stuck and you don't know how to get off. But what if you found a way to slow down enough to get off the wheel and to discover where you should go next instead of wandering aimlessly? And that is what I'm encouraging you to do today. It is almost the half point of the year. Yes, believe it or not, it is almost July. It is like right around the corner. It's going to be here in a few days. And we have to find a way to pause and get off the wheel. You know, some people actually go on these things called like silent retreats where they really get off the wheel. They like say, I'm going to go on a whole weekend. There's actually some around here locally, if you are in the Louisiana region. There are ones all throughout the country. So no matter where you're at, whatever part of the world you're in today, there are these silent retreats. And you can actually go. You have to turn off your phone. You don't get to talk to nobody. And you're silent for like a whole weekend, a whole week. I mean, some people do it for a month. I mean, I think I would drive myself batty if I had to do that. But they just take some moments. And you don't got to be silent. To just take some deep breaths and reflect on what is it that is driving my life. Is it intentions and goals I set? Or is it other people's intentions and goals they have for me? Is what I'm doing energizing me? Am I finding purpose and meaning? And let's be real, folks. I mean, sometimes life's and sometimes you have to be responsible for things and people. And it's not like you can just be like, hey guys, this is not working for me anymore. I got to run. You know, that's not always a possibility. But taking the moment to say like, okay, how can I prioritize people in my life better? How can I find more meaning in these relationships? How can I find more meaning in the job that I'm doing? Or how can I support myself in my physical health or my emotional health or my mental health? And just taking the time to realize like what's draining you, what's giving life to you, what's energizing you. It's a really big step. It's not a small step. If you can recognize these things, it's a big step and towards you, again, living life with more intention. So taking time to just check in with yourself. Like, how am I feeling about these different areas of my life? How am I feeling about my relationships, my job, my hobbies, my, whatever it is that you're involved in, volunteerism? How do I feel when I wake up every day? Am I like, woo, I don't want to do this no more? Or I feel really good? And be honest about that. One of the things that's really hard about social media these days I love it, but it is people's highlight reel, folks. It is people's highlight reel. I just can't tell you. Even you probably listen to this show and you might think, oh, Christy is normally upbeat and she seems to have a lot of energy. Let me pull back the curtains for you, folks. That is not 24/7. It does not happen like that. That is not real life. And sometimes we have to remind ourselves to get out of the comparison trap where we like look at other people and we say, oh, they figured it out. They have clarity in their life. They're looking like they are winning at the game of life. And I am just way behind, like not even past go. But that's not always the reality. And so taking the time to not focus on anybody else's life, focus on yours, because guess what? You can't life swap. I was about to say life swap, and you can actually kind of do that, but you can't really life swap. I mean, you cannot ask somebody for their life. and hey, let's trade these. Okay, that doesn't exist. You get yours. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for those people that were like, I really wish I could switch a life. You can't, but you can figure out what you want your life to be like. So for me, I remember this pivotal point in my life. It took me actually like being real courageous and leaving a job and going for one that honestly was not as glamorous looking at first, but it gave me time to get some clarity around, man, what do I want life to look like in 3 to 5 years? What do I want it to look like in 1 year? You know, what is the vision that I have for my life and creating clarity around that vision? Sometimes I work with people one on one that are really trying to build these big dreams. And sometimes we get really in the weeds of decision making. What decision should I make? And one of the things I always go back to for them and for myself is, what is the vision? Like, if we can get clear on that, it doesn't mean that it won't change or shift, but if we can get clear on that, then we can really, really, really make decisions that will help us get there. But we have to have clarity on the what, and then also the why. So, what is it that I would like? And then, why is that important to me? And the more you can create and clarify that vision, then the less likely you are to be chasing all these rabbits. And it doesn't happen overnight. In fact, for me, when I took this time off, I call it my sabbatical of life. And I really was still living life at that time. But it took me, like, honestly, a year to just refine myself because I had been in such a stressed out state that I kind of forgot who I was. I kind of lost what was important to me. And I remember then I got on a mission. That's where this whole story starts. Is I got on a mission that I was like, there has to be a different way to live life. What if I could actually create a life that I felt good about? And what am I passionate about? What do I want it to look like? What am I not passionate about? And then I also took some time to think about, how could I use my talents and abilities to serve others? And then after that, once I got super, super clear, it was then taking the time to let go of distractions. And how do I avoid going on all these bunny trails? And how do I stay clear and stay focused on what it is that I'm going for? And as soon as I started focusing on one thing versus the other things that were trying to get my way, I started to really gain traction. And guess what happens, folks, when you show up for your goals? There is a unknown, what I call ROI or ROT, return on your time, when you stay focused on your goals or you stay focused on the vision you have for your life. The more you work towards it, the more you feel good about yourself that you showed up. You showed up towards those goals. It's not going to be easy, but you showed up and you still worked on it. You still showed up and took a step forward. And we don't always know all the steps to get where we want to be. But part of this is about focusing on what is the next best step for you that is aligned with that vision you have. Because we can't always know exactly how we're going to get there. Honestly, there's so many paths that can lead to the same thing. But it is saying, how do I focus on that? And how do I make decisions that are aligned with that? And so when I work with people, that's what we do. We say, where is it that we want to go? And how do I make decisions that are aligned with that? So I want you to take yourself a clarity like this week. Carve yourself out an hour, 30 minutes, 5 hours if you're an overachiever. Heck, go book yourself a cabin somewhere in the woods. Heck, if you ain't got money for a cabin, get you a pop-up tent. I mean, go find a space. It could even be in the bathroom if you ain't got no place to go and you can't. Find you a place where you can carve out some time for you to sit down, do some writing. And the reason why I say write, folks, is that there is something powerful about writing something down. And take some time to say, where am I today? Where am I? How am I feeling about life? Where do I want to go next? What am I passionate about? And create some clarity around the life that you would love to have, that you'd love to wake up in one day. Now, maybe you love waking up in the life that you have right now. And if that's you, I'm going to say, woohoo, because that's a blessed life. If you can live a life aligned, that you, despite its struggles and challenges, that you still have peace, calm, and clarity about who you are and what you're doing on this planet that walks around and rolls around in a circle and we don't fall off somehow, then woo, you have figured it out. Celebrate and make sure you're writing down them wins and the things that you are grateful for and blessed for. But take that break to just say, hey, what is it that I would love to see happen for the remainder of the year? I mean, look, you got about halfway through, so you got 6 more months to make 2024 your best year yet. Get some clarity, write it down, get some direction, and then ask yourself, what do I need to remove from my life? What do I have to say no to? I used to be so terrible about saying no. I don't like it. But then I said, okay, well, I can't do everything, and I have to say no to some things. And I've learned how to better say no. And I haven't figured it out all together yet, but it has become easier the more I practice it. And so what is it that you need to remove? What distractions do you need to remove? And remember, wherever you are in life is too short to be chasing all kind of rabbits, folks. I mean, do yourself a favor. Take a moment, take a step off that hamster wheel and figure out what you should be doing. Not what other people think you should be doing, but what you should be doing. And if you're in a relationship or a partnership, you can do this together. You can sit down with your life partner and you can say, hey, listen, I'm tired of living this way, or these are things I don't like. How can we craft some intentions around this and hold each other accountable? If you don't have a partner, listen, I get it. Sometimes you're single and you ain't got nobody to run these ideas off of. I say, find yourself a girlfriend. That's what I did a long time ago. I realized I needed some accountability and I realized I wanted to make some things happen. And so guess what I did? I did the ultimate thing that you could to hold yourself accountable. Y'all know what it is? I led other people. I said, y'all, come on. I don't know what it is I'm doing, but I'm setting some goals and will you set some goals with me? And there's something crazy about when you are facilitating something for other people that you're still trying to figure out how to do yourself, that holds you accountable to a whole nother level. So I want to know, what is the one thing that you want to be chasing for the rest of this year? And guys, don't overcomplicate it. It ain't got to be a million things. Just pick one thing that would have the most positive impact on your life right now. And if you need some help, go over to Christy Pennison or inspiringpossible.com and get that Dream It, Write It, Do It notebook. If you haven't done it already, you can download it at any time and do it at any point in time during the year. And work yourself through some of those questions and see where you end up. And then if you think of something of how I can support you in getting off the hamster wheel, come find me on the social. Come find me or give me an email. You can email me, Christy@ChristyPennison.com. I know it's very original, isn't it? But just give me an email and I'd love to hear from you, because really taking some time for some clarity can really help create some intention and direction for where you want to go next. So y'all go get some clarity. Message me, let me know how it's going. And may the second half of your year be your best year ever. Until next time.
That's all for today on Inspiring Possible. If you found a little inspiration today, please go on over to iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you tune in to listen to leave us a comment and rate us. Also, make sure and link up with me at inspiringpossible.com to get the free Dream It, Write It, Do It workbook. And don't forget to follow us on social media and share this with anyone who needs to be inspired. Remember, if you can believe it, it's possible.